Welcome to a new episode of Melt. I'm Ritvika Gupta. Over the last 1 year, we have seen advertising agencies launch new business models, take to digital, and devise strategies to help clients better communicate with consumers. The speed of change has accelerated emerging trends, throwing a new set of challenges every day. As normality slowly resumes, how are agencies coping with changes and adapting to the current situation? Anant Rangaswami, editor of Melt, finds out in a conversation with Carter Murray, Worldwide CEO, FCB. The interview today was recorded on Zoom. We apologize for the patchy stream. Let's get ready to melt with Carter Murray.
Carter, let's talk about the Super Bowl. So tell us, as you live in America, what are your views on the various impacts of the Super Bowl?
Look, I think what the Super Bowl reminds us when you see clients spending that sort of money is that the importance of reach and mass is important, and it works because year after year we see clients spending that money and seeing the returns from it. I suppose what's interesting, you mentioning the empty stadiums, is I think one of the things that we have realized, if there's one big thing, well, there's several things, but one of the things is the importance of shared experiences. And whilst people couldn't share the experience in the stadium, there is this ritual of watching the Super Bowl in America and feeling when you're watching an ad and when you're watching the game that that most of America is watching it with you.
Carter, so of all the ads that you've seen on the Super Bowl, which is the one that you think deserves to be called the best ad of the Super Bowl?
I actually did really like Toyota's ad in the Super Bowl with the swimmer and the. I just felt it was human. It was emotional. I felt it struck a tone. And I thought it was very, very strong. It's interesting in these times where everyone was going into, again, the Super Bowl dynamic of humor and breakthrough and everything that you would expect in entertainment. But I felt that where quite a few of the ads missed was that we're living in a time where people just want empathy and humanity. But again, it's complicated, right? Because everyone has a different perspective on this. I did see some chatter going on in our industry was what people were saying. On one side, they were going, yes, well, we should be showing and understanding the pandemic. And then other people saying, I want to have nothing to do with that. That's not why I watch the Super Bowl advertising. So I think more than most years, actually, there are quite disparate views on the Super Bowl advertising. What is for sure is that, it continues to be the benchmark for trying, in the United States specifically, for being able to get mass reach and to really get your brand out there if you want it to be mainstream and you want to acquire new people into your franchise. It remains hugely powerful. And I think in this one-to-one dynamic that we're leaning into in data, it's always an interesting reminder of making sure that that's important, but it has to be scaled in order for our clients to really grow their businesses.
Carter, you've been a fairly frenetic traveler, and the coronavirus has put paid to all your global gallivanting. So tell me, in your view, will you be traveling less? When I say you, I mean the CXO level at your company. Will they be traveling less?
I think like everyone, when it comes to my travel, not traveling for the last 12 months has allowed me to assess what did I do that was effective and what am I doing now that's effective by not traveling as much. I used to do between 300,000 and 500,000 miles a year. I've done pretty much zero this year, just very small, 1 or 2 trips that I did for personal reasons. And so I think what you'll see, and I've been speaking to obviously other executives and been in quite a few of these Zoom forums with other CEOs, is I think people are going to be a lot more choiceful and a lot more targeted in their travel. So I would expect my travel to go down at least 50%. And most executives I speak to, I think, are aiming for that too. Even if we end up at 60% or 65% or 70%, you think about what the impact of that is on the airline industry, where obviously the business traveler is the most profitable. It's obviously concerning in terms of thinking about how are they going to prosper. And we have airline clients, and we're advising them on that topic right now.
So what are you advising them? Raise the rates. What else do you do?
Actually, there's quite a few things you can do.
Right.
Right now, it's probably not advisable for me to talk about it, given that we're having some of those confidential conversations and plans.
Sure.
But I'm happy to come back on the other side of this and talk about what we did with the airlines in order to help them get demand generation again, but also think about their brands and their businesses and how they're engaging people to get them to travel again.
Right. So let's look at another big cost for network agencies, and that is the awards. Cannes just announced that they're going to have an in-person Cannes in 2021. What's your view on Cannes? That's one. And on awards in general, do you think there's a good time for agencies to spend money on awards?
Well, there's 2 or 3 questions there on awards. I think first and foremost, if we're in a creative business, which we are, and you believe in creativity, which we definitely do as FCB, we're passionate about believing that creativity is why clients come to us, both in our strategy and our product. And that's what helps give clients, a real economic multiplier in terms of getting great business results. Like, we believe real creativity is what helps give them a competitive advantage. And so I think if you believe that, it's really important to support, creative awards in some capacity and to celebrate creativity. And that's what awards are about. The other thing that I wrote about a few years ago when another holding company pulled out of Cannes.
Which one is that? You want to name it, or shall I? Okay, when Publicis pulled out.
Oh, I don't think it's fair to do that. I think it was a long time ago now. But the point was that I got upset about is that sometimes when we're executives and we move up, we forget about the realities of people starting off on our industry. And we want to be nurturing young talent. And the truth, whether clients or agencies like it or not, and again, maybe it should be rewritten, or maybe not. But the truth is, if a young and up and coming or someone who's trying to break into the C-suite creative wins a Gold Lion in Cannes or a Grand Prix, it affects their salary. And it affects their reputation and the trajectory of their career. And so I think it's really important not just to think about awards as going and having a wonderful time. It's about benchmarking the best work in the industry, finding inspiration to make us all better. I'm very clear that I in every way want to support creative awards. Now, there's so many of them, and so one has to be choiceful. So that I think is the top line. Then I think coming specifically to Cannes and coming specifically to the time that we're in, the most important thing for me is the safety of our people. And I think everyone feels that way. I'm sure you feel that about the team that you work with. I understand Cannes as a business, and also, frankly, because they want to keep advancing our industry, want to do this event in person. Is June too soon? I don't know. We're still assessing it. But I can tell you, if we feel that the safety of our people is in any way jeopardized, we will not be going. And that's really the big question that we're assessing. And if we make that decision, we will try and support in every way we can digitally. But I do think your question, which is asked in every interview right now when it comes to awards, is, is that something when there is a pandemic and people are dying and people are sick, should we be investing in awards? And again, I think what we have done is we have said that the award shows are important. And when we can support them in a sensible way with a few pieces of work to keep the award shows going, frankly, on the other side of this, how can we support them then to get on the other side of this the way we're trying to support small businesses and other partners and our own employees? So, it's a very difficult discussion in terms of how to engage in them right now. We currently are really deciding to focus on our people and have really, really cut back on all of that side of things in order to try and make sure that we're focusing on getting our clients through the pandemic.
Carter, there have been a lot of habit changes we formed during the pandemic. And one of them is, working from home. A lot of people have got used to it. And a lot of the working from home has got enabled because of the digital infrastructure that has moved into people's houses. What do you think is the impact of the pandemic on digital transformation of companies in general and advertising in particular?
The pandemic has been instrumental, I think, in pushing not just digital adoption, but changes in behavior and how people are innovating. I have many multinational clients who've said, well, at the time, this was 5 months ago, but I would say even in the last year, but they said 5 months into the pandemic, I had calls at that time with 2 or 3 major corporate leads of multinationals. And they all said, we feel that our company has been able to innovate in 5 months in what I thought would take 5 years.
Right.
I've seen that in our organization. I think we've seen that through the way people behave. We've seen that stuck in their homes, having to live in a digital world. We've seen it with companies having to innovate how they distribute, how they sell, how they market, how they bring new products out. And we've seen the whole system of how people are behaving. We're living in a digital world, right? We're all stuck in our homes, living through digital channels. So I think the question is, how do you win in terms of market share for our clients, and how do we use our brands and our marketing to win in that environment? And the other question, of course, is profitability, which is how do you do it in a way where you can be profitable in order to reinvest and to gain value for your company and your organization. And for us, it's been the pandemic was for FCB globally was definitely a period of growth, both in terms of how we think, how we work, and our financials. Coming specifically to India, I've told you many times in our interviews, or I think I have, maybe it was off camera or on camera, but India is an extraordinary place with a birthright to creativity, the oldest form of dance, as well having one of the most entrepreneurial cultures in the world. But in a marketing perspective, I was always shocked at how behind it was in digital, specific to digital in marketing. And I never understood that. And India, like everyone, like everything you do, once you focus on something, you solve it. And I think what I've seen in this pandemic is in India, from a marketing perspective, I think there's been light years in terms of progress, in terms of how you're doing your digital marketing and how you're thinking about it. I think clients in India now are putting it as a top priority, whereas before it was a priority. I think it's from a marketing perspective, look, we're going through hard times in the world, well beyond marketing, much bigger issues. But in our little marketing world, I think in India, there's going to be a very exciting 4 or 5 years ahead, seeing how your marketing clients, our marketing clients and agencies are going to transform. And I think we're just at the beginning in India. And I know India is going to end up leading in that space, because you always end up leading in everything you do when you put your mind to it.
Right. From this long-termism of 5 years, I want to drag you back to short-termism. Let's go back to November when, we didn't know what would happen in the US elections. We didn't know what would happen with Brexit. And we didn't know what would happen with the vaccine. Now, that election is done and dusted. You had Brexit signed and you have a vaccine. How has it increased your optimism, decreased your optimism? I mean, the combination of these three things as a global CEO.
I think what's given me the most optimism is seeing the best of humanity come out through this crisis. I think seeing how, as people and as human beings, both in the personal and the professional realm, people have stood up to be counted, to make sure that loved ones are cared for, to make sure that businesses stay afloat. Like, I think that to me is what excites me. I think on the political realm, one has to be careful, because in America, whilst, I don't want to disclose my personal leanings, but on my social media, people probably can work that out. But I think Joe Biden coming into power was cathartic for 70, 80, 100 million people, and devastating for 60, 70 million people. And so I think this polarization and moving apart, which we've seen in the US, in the United Kingdom, in Brazil,
in India as well.
I don't think that's going to go away because of a change of political party or something getting beyond. So I think from a marketing perspective for our clients and for our agencies, we have to stay, I think, focused on how do we keep finding things that unite, not divide, in order to help grow brand affinity and grow business. I think what's interesting for me is we've thought about this polarity of parties. But what we're seeing in this research that we're doing, and again, I can't wait to share it with you at a later date, but to help our clients, is there's also a polarity going this way from the pandemic, which I think is being accentuated, which is those people that did keep their jobs, those people that did prosper in the pandemic, are feeling very differently about how they consume, how they behave, who they are, than those people who did lose their jobs, who are in financial hardship, who have lost loved ones. And so I think there's two very different mindsets going on all over the world between the haves and the have-nots. And it's financial, of course, but it's also emotional. And so I think the world, what I'm excited about is trying to understand and empathize with people and why they are where they're at. And then also from a business perspective, using our creativity and using the technology and the data capabilities we have and the creative capabilities we have to be able to communicate with people in a compelling, responsible, inspiring way.
And to close this, I'm going to ask you a question and give you a minute or two to think about it. Of all the things that you've taken a decision on during the pandemic, tell me the one decision that you're proud of having taken. No, this is an unusual time, and you would have taken some unusual decisions. And
Gosh, that's such
if
a
you
good
could
question.
zoom in on one, just the one.
You know, I would say that the thing that I'm proudest of is doubling down on our people. You know, I think when the pandemic hit, we had to have worst case scenarios of what would we do. And we held off making some of those decisions because we knew that we were winning new business, that our people could pivot with our clients, that they could make the right decisions. And I think in the heat of the moment, the decision to double down on our people was something I'm really, really proud of. I do think one decision that we did make too, and this may sound a little bit granular, but it's important, I think, in a crisis. We decided to go for complete candor and transparency and communication with our people. So we went from doing one town hall every year, every October. At the height of the crisis, I was talking live to several thousand people around the world every 2 weeks, updating them on where we were as a company, what we were doing for our employees, the hard decisions we were making, and the good decisions, well, I wouldn't say good decisions, but productive decisions that we were making. And I say, if I look back, I'm really proud of the fact that as a company, we became closer together because we made that decision for radical transparency. And I think that made us more human as a company. And I think it brought us together as a company where we were all going through personal adversity in different levels. I think, I'm very privileged because of my position. But, we had young people, we still do, going up through the ranks, 3 stuck in an apartment, going through incredibly difficult times, worried about their jobs, worried about what's going on. And I think to be able to understand the truth about where the company is at and what's required in order to get through it. Sometimes as leaders and as people, we try and keep that information close. And I think that decision to just not do that and to be open and to be honest and to be focused was hugely important for our company. And, we were recognized, it was amazing. We were recognized as the Global Network of the Year last year by Adweek. And I think for me, that was the biggest gift back to the employees because they did deliver for us.
Fantastic.
Terrific.
Thank you so much.
And that was Carter Murray sharing how the agency adapted to the new ways and norms of working. Here's presenting the Mel cheat sheet. People have become selective when it comes to travel. Business travel among CXOs will fall by at least 50%. Awards help benchmark the finest talents in the industry. The pandemic has pushed digital transformation, behavioral changes, and innovations. In India, there has been an immense growth in digital marketing. Let's now move on to our selection of ads for this week's creative picks, beginning with work from HUL's Dove. For Women's Day this year, Dove has unveiled a new campaign that puts forward the thought that beauty is not one-dimensional. Titled Stop the Beauty Test, the ad tells the story of many women who are rejected on the basis of height, complexion, hair, weight, and more. Through this ad, the brand asks people to stop the test of beauty. It's empowering, provokes a conversation, and will resonate with a lot of women. Take a look.
ये सिर्फ हमारी नहीं, देश की करोड़ों लड़कियों की कहानी है।
मैं है किस रेडी।
चलो भी चलो, जल्दी करो। ऐ की दीदी, साड़ी पहनाने की बात हुई थी ना, फिर वजन दिखाई दे रहा है।
अब इसमें भी दिखाई दे रहा है।
हुन तुसी जल्दी करो, लड़के वाले आ गए ने।
इससे उठ लो बेटा, जल्दी आ जा। महक आ जाओ बेटा। अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
आजा नूर,
आजा।
फोटो में तो रंग साफ लग रहा था ना।
अब बेटा, आप दोनों चाहो तो बाहर चाय पी लो। जानूर,
सीढ़ी लगाकर बात करना पड़ेगा आपकी राजेश्वरी को हमारे लड़के से।
नो बट जोक्स अपार्ट, अपने बाल स्ट्रेट करा लेना, भाई को नूडल्स नहीं पसंद।
ये दाग
कब तक चलेगी खूबसूरती की ये बदसूरत परख? आखिर कितनी खूबसूरती काफी है? डव, खामियां नहीं, खूबियां देखिए।
Levi's has rolled out an ad featuring Deepika Padukone which celebrates the spirit of women and their collective journey of inspiring each other. Set to the tune of a popular Bollywood song from the 80s, we see Deepika alongside other women gaining confidence in what they want to achieve after taking the first step. This inspires other women to join in and groove. I think the ad works for the brand, which aims to establish a strong connect with young female consumers. It also kind of reminded me of Nike's Dada Ding film. It's fun and peppy. Check it out. With that, it's a wrap on this episode of Melt. Do follow us on social media. Our handle is Ready to Melt, and stay updated with all that's happening in the world of advertising and marketing with our daily Melt updates on our website readytomelt.com. I shall see you next week, same time, same place. Goodbye.